Obi had shot his arrows, and they had pierced Yugo, who had initially transformed into a beast. However, as Obi's arrows were imbued with a powerful charm, they caused Yugo to return to her human form. Nevertheless, she remained unconscious. Obi approached her and realized that the creature he had shot was, in fact, Yugo. Meanwhile, Uche's scream had awakened a few nearby villagers. Fortunately for Uche, one of the village's expert healers lived close to their home. The healer rushed over as soon as he heard the cry. When he reached Amaka's hut, he saw her bleeding profusely. He quickly ran out to gather remedies to treat Amaka and stop her bleeding. Afterward, he comforted Uche, urging her to stop crying. A few villagers who had woken up were talking about what had happened. It didn't take long before morning arrived. By that time, almost all the villagers had heard about the incident. They now knew that Yugo was the one who had been terrorizing their animals and destroying their crops at night. Yugo was locked in a cell at the king's palace. Villagers gathered outside the palace, demanding a solution. The king asked Obi if he could help Yugo return to normal using his powerful charms and medicines. Obi informed the king that the evil dwelling within Yugo was the result of powerful witchcraft, and that it was beyond his abilities and understanding. As soon as he finished speaking, some villagers began shouting that if Yugo could not be cured, she must be eliminated. However, others started chanting that Obi should find a way to help her. This support mainly came from those who loved the twins. Amidst all this, Uche stood silently, crying, not knowing what to do or say. She simply observed as the village tried to decide her twin sister's fate. The king then calmed the crowd and reminded the villagers that Yugo and Uche were twins blessed by the spirits and must be treated with wisdom. Obi then told the king that he could create a powerful charm to render Yugo unconscious. He explained that in this unconscious state, she would not be able to turn evil again at night. However, the charm would only last for 3 days, and after those 3 days, Yugo would revert to her malevolent state. Upon hearing this, the king told the villagers to resume their daily lives and ensure their safety over the next 3 nights. He assured them that a permanent solution to Yugo's problem would be found before the end of the 3 days. After hearing this, the villagers left the palace and went back to their daily activities. Uche and Obi then held a meeting at the king's palace to discuss how they could help Yugo. By the end of their discussion, they concluded that the best person capable of helping Yugo was someone known as the White Priest. The White Priest was known as the Eyes of the Spirits. The king told Uche that the White Priest knew everything that had happened in the past and could even see the present. The only limitation to his power was his inability to see the future. The king explained that the spirits had not granted the White Priest the ability to foresee the future. Perplexed, Uche listened attentively. She had no idea that such a person existed. She then asked how she could locate the White Priest. The king told Obi that finding the White Priest was not the problem, as many people from various villages knew where he lived. The real problem was Kiriki. Kiriki was the reason why people were afraid to seek out the White Priest. The king explained that hundreds of years ago, when the spirits granted the White Priest his powers, people began seeking him out for selfish reasons. They asked him for the locations of hidden treasures and other unvirtuous things. As a result, the spirits sent Kiriki, a powerful guardian, to block the path leading to the White Priest. The king then told Uche that Kiriki had the ability to look into a person's soul to determine their true intentions. His quest had to be noble. If Kidu deemed the person unworthy, he could kill them instantly. Uche was terrified, but loved her sister so much that she knew she had to do everything in her power to help her. The king recounted to Uche that, long ago, his grandfather had visited the white priest to acquire knowledge about medicines and amulets, which he used to heal people and protect the village. The king said that Obi would accompany and guide Uche on her journey. He reminded them that, since the charm on Yugo would disappear after 3 days, they must do everything possible to return in time. Uche and Obi prepared for their journey to meet the white priest. Before leaving, Uche thanked Obi for deciding to help her and her sister. Obi told her not to mention it, saying that this was precisely the type of situation for which his great-grandfather had sought the white priest. Since then, his family had ensured the protection of the village. After gathering what they needed, Obi and Uche ventured into the forest leading to the white priest. After walking for some time, Uche was surprised that they hadn't encountered any danger. Obi explained that this was due to Kuriki's presence. Other creatures feared Kuriki and wouldn't stay in the same forest where he resided. After a while, they arrived at a clearing. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble and trees started to fall. Uche saw the guardian who protected the path to the white priest, Kuriki. Kuriki was a gigantic snake, even larger than the king had described. Uche was paralyzed with fear, but despite trembling, she managed to speak. "I am a twin blessed by the spirits. I have come to help my sister," she stammered. The giant snake looked at Uche and Obi. Then, suddenly, something miraculous happened. Kuriki began to shrink. He reduced in size until he became a small snake, then lay on the ground. Suddenly, he transformed into stone. Uche and Obi were stunned. Obi told Uche that Kuriki had given them permission to continue their journey to meet the white priest. Wasting no time, Uche and Obi pressed on and soon arrived at the temple of the white priest, known as the Eyes of the Spirits. When Uche saw the white priest, she wanted to speak, but he told her he already knew why she had come. "Time is not on your side, so I will tell you what you need to know," said the white priest. He explained that a powerful witch had cursed Yugo, Uche's twin sister. The witch was once part of the village, but the first king, now deceased, had banished her for performing dark rituals and extorting money from women in exchange for promises of having twins. After her banishment, the witch swore revenge on the king, and that vengeance led her to curse Yugo, using her body as an instrument of her anger. The white priest gave Uche a white arrow, explaining that this arrow must be shot directly at the witch. By doing so, the spirit's judgment would fall upon the witch and end her wickedness. He also gave her a mystical amulet shaped like a pearl, which would guide her to where the witch was hiding in the forest. Obi and Uche thanked the white priest deeply, and, without wasting any time, left the temple to follow the amulet's guidance. While walking back, Uche noticed that Kuriki, the great guardian serpent, remained transformed into stone. Obi explained to her that, according to the stories passed down from his great-grandfather, Kuriki did not usually turn into stone, but remained in his gigantic form to protect the forest. Uche, with a mix of curiosity and relief, understood that Kuriki had recognized her nature as a twin blessed by the spirits, which explained why the serpent had let them pass without issue. After walking for several hours, Uche and Obi arrived at a clearing in the forest where the amulet glowed intensely, indicating that the evil witch was nearby. Obi stopped and told Uche that he could not continue. He explained that the witch had cast a powerful spell around her lair, preventing men from approaching. Only a woman could cross the enchantment. Nervously, Uche took the white arrow from Obi and entered the heart of the forest alone. As she advanced, she saw the silhouette of the witch, an old woman with a sinister appearance, deeply asleep in her lair. Uche felt overwhelmed with anger upon seeing the witch sleep so peacefully after ruining her sister's life. Without further hesitation, Uche shot the arrow. Although she missed her mark, something extraordinary happened. The arrow magically veered in mid-air, guided by the spirits, and pierced the witch's heart. Immediately, the witch's body began to burn, and Uche witnessed the divine judgment that fell upon her. The forest darkened, and an eerie silence enveloped the area. Uche ran back to Obi, and together they decided to rest and spend the night in the forest. Obi used one of his protective charms to ensure no harm would come to them while they slept. The next morning, they woke up and headed back to the temple of the White Priest. Uche was ready for the second task. The White Priest explained to her that although Yugo was no longer possessed, there was still darkness within her. This was due to a mistake their mother had made. Uche, intrigued, listened attentively as the priest explained that their mother, unable to conceive twins naturally, had consulted a priestess for help. What their mother did not know was that the spirits had already decided she would have twins. But by seeking external intervention, Yugo was born incomplete, with a darkness that tormented her. The priest told Uche that her mission was to appease the spirits to restore balance. She would need to go to the sacred forest and pray before the divine tree, asking the spirits to restore harmony between her and her sister. If the spirits showed mercy, Yugo would be completely healed. Uche thanked the White Priest, and knowing this journey had to be undertaken alone, she set out for the sacred forest. Obi decided to stay, believing that Uche needed to face this challenge by herself. Uche arrived at the divine tree, and with deep reverence, she prayed to the spirits. What seemed like hours passed before a powerful storm broke out in the sky. Suddenly, a blazing figure appeared, taking the form of a face. The spirits had answered her prayer. "Why have you come?" The figure asked in a thunderous voice, "What is your purpose here?" Uche, trembling, explained that she had come on behalf of her mother, seeking forgiveness for her sister. The spirits replied that her mother must be punished for defying their will, but Uche pleaded for their mercy. The spirits offered her two options. Either her mother would lose her sight for 10 years, or Uche would have to renounce her divine gifts forever. With tears in her eyes, Uche chose to sacrifice her gifts to save her mother. The spirits accepted her sacrifice and ordered her to return to the village. Her sister, Yugo, had already been restored, and her mother had been forgiven. Uche, feeling that something within her had changed, left the forest in tears. She knew she was no longer the same. The gifts that had connected her to the spirits were gone, but she found solace in knowing she had saved her family. The next day, Uche returned to the village with Obi, where they met the king, who thanked her for her sacrifice. Yugo, now freed from her darkness, and their mother, healed from her wounds, awaited her joyfully. Upon learning what Uche had done for her, Yugo and their mother embraced her, crying, and promised to always take care of her. From that day on, Uche chose to live a peaceful life, dedicating herself to farming with her sister and mother. Although she no longer had the gifts that had set her apart, she felt she had found a new peace in her simple life and the company of her family. A year later, a grand festival was held in the village. Uche, accompanied by Hugo, attended the celebration. During the festivities, something marvelous happened. The sky began to change color, and a drum descended in a beam of white light right where Uche was dancing. Everyone was astonished, knowing it was a sign from the spirits. Uche, surprised and moved, struck the drum, and at that moment, she felt her gifts return. The spirits had forgiven her and restored her power. The villagers began celebrating joyfully, and Hugo, unable to contain her emotions, grabbed a drum and began playing with her sister. The festival became the greatest and most glorious the village had ever seen. The blessed twins, Uche and Hugo, played melodic rhythms in honor of the spirits. The synchronization of their music was majestic, and everyone present felt that balance and peace had been restored in the village. And so, the beautiful story of Uche and Hugo, the twins blessed by the spirits, comes to an end. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing for more beautiful stories.